Hello and welcome to PMQs with Graham Hughes. I'm Graham Hughes. Hello. You're watching Politics Social. We've got Gallifreyan in the chat. We've got Vendetta. We have got Simon. We've got Andrew, Brett, Michael, Liam, Lost, and Vendetta again. Hello, welcome. Welcome to the show. We're going to be watching PMQs and commenting as we go. We're still on Northern Ireland office questions at the moment. David Davis is currently talking, so we don't need to pop in just yet, but we will in a moment. But in the meantime, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe. You want to subscribe? Okay.
To move on to Prime Minister's questions.
Here we go. Moving on to Prime Minister's questions.
I would like to welcome the President of Parliament, the Speaker himself, and I've got to say thank you to his delegation for arriving with us today.
The President of Parliament.
So first
Who's
of all,
that? What country? What? Did you forget what country it was? Bilbo Baggins. What's going on? What's even happening? Oh, he wants a number one.
Minister.
Quick, let him in. Hey! Hey! Hey!
I just said I didn't know the Prime Minister was that popular on this side.
Yeah, they're all cheering. They're all cheering for him.
Mr. Speaker, can I start by saying this? My thoughts, and I'm sure the thoughts of the whole House, are with the two children stabbed at Kingsbury High School in Brent. And my heart goes out to everyone affected by this appalling attack. We thank the police for their rapid response. It's important now that we give them the space to pursue their investigation. And Mr. Speaker, this morning I conveyed the UK's deepest condolences to Prime Minister Carney and the people of Canada for the devastating shooting in Tumbler Ridge. Mr. Speaker, I'm determined to fix the broken SEND system. No parent should have to fight for the support their child needs. Today we announced a 10-year plan to fix the crumbling school estate that we inherited, delivering a more modern and inclusive classrooms that meet the needs of every child.
Delivering. Did you say
Mr.
delivering?
Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues. Now, there's been quite a few of those this week. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
It's a turbulent few days.
Thank you. I'd like to associate myself with the Prime Minister's remarks there. The Prime Minister's commitment to 1.5 million more homes will require 48,000 new entrants to the construction industry every year. In Chesterfield, we're doing our bit. The Construction Skills Hub brought 70 new entrants into the construction sector, and we did see a welcome increase in numbers across the country last year. But we need a step change. We need numbers to double. So can the Prime Minister tell the House what steps he is taking to get more people to commit to construction industry careers and get those numbers up where we need them to deliver on his housing ambitions?
Prime Minister.
Well, my honourable friend is right. The task of rebuilding our country is a huge opportunity to give young people a brilliant career. And we're backing apprentices with a record £3 billion budget. And we're making sure companies who bid for major contracts commit to high-quality apprenticeships here in the United Kingdom. And, Mr. Speaker, we're creating 13,000 new opportunities for young people as plumbers, engineers and bricklayers, securing their future and rebuilding this country.
We come to the Leader of the Opposition, Kemi Badenoch.
There you go. Ooh.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I associate my side of the House with the Prime Minister's words on the horrific stabbing in North London yesterday, as well as the shooting in Canada? When he was Leader of the Opposition, the Prime Minister said, and I quote, "I never turn on my staff. When they make mistakes, I carry the can." What changed?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I've accepted responsibility and apologised for the mistakes that I made. But let me say this, Mr. Speaker. Let me say this, Mr. Speaker. Morgan McSweeney helped me change our party and helped me win a landslide election victory, which delivered for them the smallest Tory party in over 100 years. And what's her great achievement? To make it even smaller.
Oh, he got it. Oh, that was. Oh. Oh.
The Whips have done a great job today. This is like the 37th. Oh, he said, yeah, exactly. Done a great job today getting them cheering. We all know that they've been sick for the last week. Because let's remember, Mr. Speaker, just last week, he told us that he had full confidence in his Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney.
Kiss of death.
On Sunday, he sacked Morgan McSweeney.
No, he quit.
Last week,
He quit.
he resigned. Yes.
Morgan
Last week,
McSweeney,
last week,
that's his
Mr. Speaker, he was
Fan swat.
defending the Cabinet Secretary. Now he is sacking him. What changed?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, in January, she said she had full confidence, 100% confidence, she said, be no more defections from her party. 48 hours later, the shadow foreign minister defected. 8 days after that, the former Home Secretary defected. The only question now is, who's next? She needs to wake up. Her party is dying.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is demonstrating stratospheric levels of delusion if he thinks the problem is on this side of the House. And he didn't say anything about why the Cabinet Secretary is going. We know the truth. It is because he is throwing everyone under a bus except himself. And, Mr. Speaker, the Mandelson episode was not an isolated incident. A few weeks ago, he announced a peerage for one Matthew Doyle, his former Director of Communications. Immediately after that, the Sunday Times published on the front page that Doyle campaigned for a man charged with child sex offences. Yet, despite the Prime Minister knowing this, he gave Doyle a job for life in the House of Lords anyway. Why?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Matthew Doyle did not give a full account of his actions. And on Monday, I promised my party and my country there would be change. And yesterday, I removed the whip from Matthew Doyle. I'll tell you what other action we've taken, Mr. Speaker. Along with the Safeguarding Minister, I and this government have introduced the most far-reaching violence against women and girls strategy. And I'll tell you what else we've done. This government has introduced a pay rise for millions of working-class women. What did the Leader of the Opposition do? She opposed it. This government's introducing greater protection for women at work. What did the Leader of the Opposition do? She opposed it. And I'll tell you what else she opposes. This government removing the disgusting rape clause that they put in place.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister pretends not to know about Matthew Doyle. It was on the front page of the Sunday Times. He cannot explain why he gave this man a peerage, and I think they should be wondering why they're still cheering for him after that. And the Prime Minister, sometimes likes to claim, as he just did, that he cares about violence against women. The truth is, he only cares about the victims when he's trying to save his own skin. They can shake their heads. We saw it with grooming gangs. We saw it with Mandelson. And now we see it with Doyle. Isn't that what a former prosecutor would call an established pattern of behaviour?
Mr. Speaker, I'm going to take no lectures from the Tories.
Oh, no, taking no lectures.
In public life.
Not taking lectures.
She defended Partygate for months and months and months. And even now she says it was overblown. The Shadow Foreign Secretary broke the ministerial code by bullying. Boris Johnson kept her. The Leader of the Opposition promoted her. She sits on her front bench. Her former Shadow Justice Secretary complained about not seeing enough white faces in Birmingham, and she was too weak to sack him for racism.
Nobody buys it, Mr. Speaker. Not even the Labour women, because they know he always puts the Downing Street Boys Club first. And how dare he criticise us? We weren't the ones stuffing government with hypocrites and paedophile apologists. He can't build a team, Mr. Speaker. He has no plan. He can't even run his own office, let alone the country. He is now dealing with a new scandal of appointing someone who campaigned for a man convicted of having indecent pictures of girls as young as 10. Isn't the Prime Minister ashamed that that will be his legacy?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, my legacy is changing my party and winning a general election. And I'll tell you this, I kicked my former leader out of my party. Her former leader, Liz Truss, broke the economy and has descended into bonkers conspiracy theories. I kicked her out of Parliament. She's too weak to kick her out of their party.
Emergency truce unlocked.
Mr. Speaker, he hasn't apologised for appointing Matthew Doyle because he won't take responsibility. He never does, and they know it. The Prime Minister is now telling everyone that he's never lost a fight. It's because he won't step into the ring. He's never lost a fight. He's walked away from welfare reform. He won't stand up to the unions. He won't stand up to China. He can't even stand up to Mauritius. He's had, Mr. Speaker, he's had 3 cabinet secretaries, 4 chiefs of staff, 5 director of communications in just 18 months. And now he is mired in yet another scandal. Does he ever look in the mirror and ask himself, is the real problem staring him in the face?
Mr. Speaker, I delivered a landslide victory for our government. Only 4 people have ever led the Labour Party to victory in a general election. I am one of them. And she talks about numbers. Let us remember, Mr. Speaker, 5 Prime Ministers, 7 Chancellors, 8 Home Secretaries, 8 Foreign Secretaries, 16 Housing Secretaries, all completely useless, all failed Britain, and this Prime Minister's clearing up the mess. She comes here every week desperately fighting to save her dying party. I'm fighting to change our country. Interest rates down. Inflation down, waiting lists down, child poverty down, and I'll tell you another thing's down, the number of Tory MPs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Down to 116 now, isn't
the
it?
funding needed to rebuild the new Frimley Park Hospital after the party opposite made empty, unfunded promises to my constituents. Now we urgently need to get on with announcing the preferred site, along with the investment needed to improve public transport, road access and parking. Will the Prime Minister urge NHS England to make this a priority and help give much-needed clarity to Bracknell Forest residents?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, delivering the new Frimley Park Hospital is a priority. Under the party opposite, his constituents were given totally empty promises. They failed patients and they failed staff. We put a proper plan and the funding to match, and the Trust are making real progress on the business case, and I want to see spades in the ground as quickly as possible.
Said David, Leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Mr. Speaker, can I associate myself with the Prime Minister's remarks about the dreadful stabbing of 2 children in Brent and about the horrifying shootings in British Columbia? Our thoughts and prayers are with the children's parents and the people of Canada, especially those grieving the loss of loved ones. Mr. Speaker, to appoint one paedophile supporter cannot be excused as misfortune. To appoint 2 shows a catastrophic lack of judgment. The Right Honourable Gentleman once told this House that when a Prime Minister refuses to take responsibility, and I quote, "It only serves to convince people that things cannot get better, that governments cannot improve people's lives, and that progress is not possible because politics does not work." Does he still agree with himself? And does he share my fear that that is exactly what is happening now?
Minister.
People in this country, millions of people, have been let down for years and years and years. And one of the reasons was austerity, which his party supported.
Ooh, getting really aggressive.
Take accountability and take responsibility for what he has inflicted on this country.
Said David.
God, this is really rowdy.
Mr. Speaker, I think I touched a raw nerve. But I think the whole House will agree that the Manson scandal has shown yet again why we need a duty of candour for anyone and everyone in public office. Mr. Speaker, there should be no more delays in putting the Hillsborough Law on the statute books. After the long fight by the bereaved families and so many others, like the Mayor of Greater Manchester. The Prime Minister once said it would be one of the first things he did in number 10. Will he finally do it now, even if it's the last thing he does?
Nice one.
The panel report in the Hillsborough case was when I started working on the Hillsborough case. That was in 2012, when his party were in power. And they could have passed this law a long time ago and saved a lot of grief. I'm proud that this Labour government is bringing in a Hillsborough law, something I've committed to for a very, very long time.
Richard Quidley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As the Prime Minister will have heard me say, the Isle of Wight is a fantastic place to live, work and learn, despite the Leader of the Opposition trying to give us to China. He will also be aware of some of the challenges we have in cross-solent transport, reliability, frequency and price. The emissions trading scheme, which ironically only applies to hybrid vessels, may increase fares further. Despite exemptions granted for Scotland and Northern Ireland, the lack of grid capacity to fully decarbonise, I am deeply concerned about the impact on our island community. Will the Prime Minister urgently ask DESNZ ministers to review this issue?
Minister.
Well, thank him for his question. I know how important affordable ferries are for his constituents' everyday lives. The ETS scheme will make journeys cleaner, and we're working with ferry companies on the grid connections in ports that enable greener vessels. I'll make sure that he gets a meeting with the relevant minister.
Stephen Flynn.
Mr. Speaker, if I've just listened to the Prime Minister correctly, he's essentially rolled the same pitch in relation to Matthew Doyle as he did with Peter Mandelson, that they weren't clear with him. He appears to be the most gullible former Director of Public Prosecutions in history. But he has a slight problem, Mr. Speaker, because some of us do read the newspapers. And towards the end of last year, indeed on the 30th of December, having written to the House of Lords Appointments Commission, I received a response from the Chair, who advised me that as part of their vetting, they provide confidential advice to the Prime Minister on the propriety of a potential nominee. Will he release that advice?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I've made my position for clear. He knows how the system works. But, Mr. Speaker, he says he reads the newspapers. He will have read that in 9 days their former party chief executive goes on trial for embezzling money. And if he'll have read that the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, we see one of the worst failures in Scottish public life. Vulnerable children and adults put at risk. Evidence of serious warnings to the SNP government were ignored. He should have been looking at those, not looking at the newspapers. The First Minister should act, because families deserve accountability.
Can I just remind the Prime Minister we don't discuss live cases because it's sub judice. Anna Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah.
Last week I met Leighton,
Really,
a T-level construction student at Bradford College. He was working on the remediation of wreck at Airedale Hospital. In the last few years, Bradford has made tremendous progress in reducing the rate of young people not in employment, education or training. So will the Prime Minister reconfirm his commitment to vocational and skills training and set out how this Labour government is ensuring that young people like Leighton have career opportunities in construction and other critical industries?
Prime Minister.
Well, I thank my honourable friend. Leighton's success is a testament to what young people can achieve with the right support. We're creating technical excellent colleges and delivering training places for 60,000 skilled construction workers. Labour's creating opportunities for every young person whilst building the homes, the schools and the hospitals that our country needs. And that's what I'm fighting for.
Rebecca Smith.
Last year, Plymouth was named the National Centre for Marine Autonomy and given a defence growth deal. However, the SMEs in the unmanned surface vessel sector, many based at Turnchapel Wharf in my constituency, are having their work held back because of out-of-date regulations from the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency. Last week, I was told that draft regulations exist, but that they require primary legislation. Now, without these new regulations, many of these vital SMEs developing autonomous vessels that have dual commercial and defence use are at risk. So, Mr. Speaker, will the Prime Minister show some backbone and consider finding a slot for primary legislation as a matter of urgency, or at least consider adding it to the King's speech later this spring, assuming that he is still in charge of the legislative programme by then?
Mr. Speaker, we are taking action, but in the particular case she raises in her constituency, if she sends me or my team the details, I'll see if there's anything we can do to support what is obviously an important issue.
Steve Race.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister will be aware of Lorraine Cox, a resident of Exeter, who in 2020 was murdered by a man whose asylum claim had been denied but who is not removed from this country. Would the Prime Minister set out what more this government will do to make sure deportations of people who have no right to be here and of those who have committed criminal offences will be sped up? And would he meet with Lorraine's father to discuss the family's campaign for justice for Lorraine?
Prime Minister.
Well, my honourable friend raises an awful case, and my thoughts and those, I'm sure, of the whole House are with the loved ones of Lorraine. Tackling violence against women and girls is a critical mission, and I'll make sure the Home Office Minister meets the family. I want to be absolutely clear, Mr. Speaker, illegal immigrants who commit such appalling acts should not be in this country. That's why we've already removed nearly 60,000 people with no right to be here, and deportations of foreign criminals is up by a third. We're also reforming human rights law to allow us to swiftly remove those with no right to be here.
Lord Glover.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My Oxfordshire constituents are sick of widespread potholes, particularly at Milton Interchange, Didcot and along the A417 serving Challow and Stamford in the Vale. Yet the government is cutting funding for Oxfordshire County Council by £24 million over 3 years, which is equivalent to its annual highways maintenance budget. The Prime Minister is of course entitled to dig a pothole for himself, but why is he cutting funding for Oxfordshire's roads?
Prime Minister.
We put a record amount of money into dealing with potholes. He needs to ask his council, run by his party, why they're not using that money.
Douglas McAllister.
It's a source of great pride to Scottish Labour MPs that as Chancellor, Gordon Brown lifted more children out of poverty than any other Chancellor before him. It's also a source of great pride that this...
Order. Mr. Flynn, you don't need to cover your hand. I can still hear you. Your voice is louder than mine. Douglas McAllister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's also a source of great pride that this torch is now passed over to our government, and by removing the two-child benefit cap, we will lift more children out of poverty in a single parliament than ever before. 2,260 children in Western Bartonshire, 95,000 in Scotland. Does the Prime Minister agree that this demonstrates true Labour values in action across Scotland and the UK?
There's a plant in it.
Well, on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, we know the damage that growing up in poverty does to the life chances of children. The Tories put hundreds of thousands of children into poverty, and they'll live with that for the rest of their lives. We are undoing their damage. Our decision will benefit almost 100,000 children in Scotland as we deliver the largest reduction in child poverty in any single parliament.
Lera Wilson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The manslaughter of baby Gigi Meehan at a nursery in Cheadle, 21 counts of child cruelty at Riverside Nursery in Twickenham Green in my constituency, 56 charges of sexual assault and creating indecent images at a nursery in Camden, and just this week, 21 counts of sexual abuse at a nursery in Bristol. Mr. Speaker, CCTV was critical for convicting the criminals in most of these cases. So will the Prime Minister ensure that no parent ever has to fear for their child's safety while they go to work by introducing mandatory CCTV in nurseries and a childcare workers register?
Prime Minister.
Can I thank her for raising these cases? And they're harrowing cases for everyone in this country. The safety of children is, of course, paramount, and we're acting to keep them safe. We're implementing all the proposals consulted on to strengthen safeguarding as part of our early years foundation stage framework. Expert group developing guidance on the effective use of CCTV, the point she makes, and considering whether it should be mandatory in early settings. And I'll make sure that she's updated as we take that work forward.
Catherine West.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. 126 years ago, this House legislated to make Alexandra Palace available for the free use of the public forever. And last year, Luke the Nuke changed darts forever by rewriting the record books. Today, Ali Pali plays host to World Championship Darts, Master Snooker, Haringey Huskies, Greyhounds for ice hockey, plus music, comedy, drama and more. Will the PM today keep the Palace competitive as the international venue for darts by supporting my campaign to raise a one-off public-private £500 million investment for urgent capital improvements?
Prime Minister.
Can I thank my honourable friend? The People's Palace is an iconic British venue, a home for darts, snooker and world-class music. it's vital that we support brilliant venues that give so much to our cultural life. And that's why, Mr. Speaker, we're providing almost £200 million to preserve heritage buildings across the country, so venues like Alexandra Palace can have a bright future.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week, Stark Bay was devastated by storm damage, homes and businesses wrecked, and an important A road severed. Thousands who used it to commute to school, work and healthcare are stranded, bus routes broken, emergency vehicles blocked. And the 300,000 visitors who come annually and underpin our fragile tourist economy now in doubt. But this is a place that has stepped up twice to defend our country. Once, when 1.5 million cubic metres of shingle were dredged out of the bay to build the naval dockyards in Plymouth, and again, when it was used as the training ground for the D-Day landings at a cost of 750 American soldiers' lives. It is also the site of a unique national nature reserve with rare species found only here. This storm damage is of national significance, so I ask the Prime Minister if he will ensure that the myriad of government agencies and departments needed will work together with experts to find and fund a sustainable long-term solution to the coastal erosion that is inflicting so much...
Order! It's a very important question.
It is, yeah, coastal erosion.
Must have got it in the first 2 minutes.
It's so rude. They only do this to women. They only do this to women.
I know communities have been badly affected by recent storms, and damage to the A379 is very concerning. I'm pleased that she, I think, is meeting the Roads and Floods Minister today, I think. We are investing £10 billion to improve coastal and flood defences. And I want to thank the Environment Agency staff who are working hard right now, putting extra protections in place and supporting people ahead of further wet weather.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For too long, communities like mine in Bartley Green felt decisions were made about them, not with them. 14 years of austerity did not just close neighbourhood offices and youth services, it broke trust. Through Pride in Place in Woodgate, this government is helping residents restore the Woodgate Valley Cafe and so much more. What is the Prime Minister's message to my constituents about how politics can be a force for good and that he will never walk away from my community and the country we love?
Well, I thank her for a question. My message is that I've always believed that those with skin in the game make the best decisions about their community. And I know just how much her constituents want Woodgate Valley Visitor Centre back open. Together, I do think we can make that happen. And if you want to know, Mr. Speaker, where hope is in Britain is in our communities, and that's why we're investing so heavily in our Pride in Place initiative.
James Wilde.
Thank you very much. My constituents' mum, sister and stepfather were killed in a horrific, dangerous driving crime, and the foreign national offender was sentenced to 10.5 years. But the family have just been told that he may be released imminently in order to be deported, having served just 3 years. Will the Prime Minister look at this case and what steps can be taken to prevent that release, given such a pitiful service time? 3 years for 3 lives would be the final insult and undermine public confidence in our justice system. Prime Minister.
Can I thank him for raising what is obviously a terrible case, and I'll make sure that it's looked into if he could provide further details so we can do it as quickly as possible.
David Pinto.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our democracy and this House relies on the spoken word, but many with speech disabilities are left without a voice. I have a speech impediment. So do 2 million adults and 1 in 12 children. It can rob people of their confidence, lead to discrimination and limit our opportunities in work and in public life. It's time to tear down these barriers. Can the Prime Minister share with what this government is doing to help people with speech disabilities get the support they need so their voices can be heard?
Prime Minister. Can I start by saying he is an inspirational and powerful campaigner on this issue, and by doing what he's doing, he will give great courage to other people to take the same steps. I'm proud we're increasing the number of NHS speech and language therapists. We're trialling new ways of identifying and supporting children with speech and language needs in their early years, because I agree that every child deserves the help they need to reach their potential.
Dr. L. Pinkerton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My Surrey Heath constituent, Christopher, was discharged from the RAF in 1966 solely for being gay. But despite the government committing to restoring the medals, the berets, and indeed acknowledging the injustice of those discharged from our armed forces prior to 1967, his case has been dismissed out of hand with only a letter that contained the track changes from the template that the MOD issued. So can I ask the Prime Minister to take a personal interest in this case to ensure that it's resolved swiftly and to allow Christopher to march on Remembrance Day as he wishes to with his medals and his beret and his dignity restored?
Prime Minister. I will do everything I can to ensure that that happens, which is absolutely what should happen. This was an absolute scandal, the gays in the military ban. And it's absolutely right that it was overturned, but we must follow through on that, and I'll do everything I can to make sure that we deliver on what he's asked me to deliver on.
Daniel Zagner. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week, the government launched a consultation on establishing a growth development corporation for Cambridge. And in the meantime, Peter Freeman, the chairman of the Cambridge Growth Company, has on the record as saying we should aim to be the most livable city in Europe. That's a fantastic ambition, one which I entirely agree with. And I'd ask the Prime Minister, given that this will be good for growth, not just for Cambridge, but for the region and the wider economy, what more can the government do to help us, not least to help that generation of young people who can barely afford a home? Prime Minister.
Well, his constituency is already home to brilliant research, innovation and economic growth. And through a greater Cambridge Development Corporation, we'll put in the powers and resources to unlock its full potential. I want to let local people have their say. We'll make sure that we create a fair plan with attractive, well-connected and thriving new neighbourhoods.
Tom Tugendhat.
Thank you, Mr.
Oh God, it's Tugendhat.
Would the Prime Minister share with me the concern that while some ambassadors retiring in disgrace get tens of thousands of pounds in payoff, many other civil servants are failing to get the retirement that they are due and are expected to turn to their old departments for bridging loans? This is clearly a scandal. Would he put all of his effort behind making sure that those who have served with integrity are treated with the dignity that they deserve?
Prime Minister.
Yes, we are taking steps, and he's right, we should take further steps, and I think that will be agreed across the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The announcement that pubs and music venues would receive a much welcomed reduction in business rates is a positive step. However, in our manifesto, we did promise root and branch reform of business rates. Hospitality and leisure businesses in my Stourbridge constituency are facing a projected £20,000 increase in business rates over the next 3 years, along with employment cost increases and energy costs. Hospitality and leisure play a vital role for our communities, providing jobs and spaces to socialise. So will the Prime Minister consider a similar rates relief package for hospitality and leisure?
She's right that we need the conditions for flourishing high streets, and it underscores the importance of 6 interest rate cuts, the £5.8 billion that we put into Pride in place, and the work to put money in people's pockets.
Okay, but I can
I'm
announce
pleased
today.
we've delivered a 15% cut and a 2-year freeze for
Okay,
pubs
what
and
you're gonna
live
announce
music
today?
venues. That comes on top of the £4.3 billion to support businesses and permanently lower rates for retail, hospitality and leisure properties.
Oh. That was a non-answer, wasn't
I
it?
thank the Prime Minister for raising the stabbing at Kingsbury High School yesterday. It is absolutely right that we allow the police to get on with their job of investigating this terrible atrocity, and indeed the police are out there now providing reassurance to parents and people in the community. And indeed, I'm sure I speak for the whole House when our thoughts and prayers are with the victims, their families, and also those that witness this atrocity. But will the Prime Minister now look at what needs to be done to combat knife crime across the country? It is absolutely wrong that people are carrying knives in the first place when they don't need to, and indeed they're drawn into this terrible atrocity. We owe it to the victims to ensure this happens. Prime Minister.
Can I thank him for raising this case? And it's one of the most powerful and important things that we do as MPs in this place, particularly when there's such awful cases. And he's absolutely right. We must do everything we can to reduce knife crime. There are initiatives and steps we've taken to remove the accessibility of knives where they can be bought. We need to do much more work with our schools and young people to ensure that people don't carry knives. And we need to work with the police and law enforcement to make sure that these incidents are investigated as quickly and as effectively as possible. And I think that's a shared endeavour across the House.
Sarah Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In my constituency, the beautiful Grade 2 listed Chetwynd Bridge on the A513 between Eddingale and Alwas has been restricted to cars and light vans since October of 2023. So farmers are facing a 25-mile diversion, and with severe flooding now hitting Eddingale multiple times a year, this vital route risks being cut off for emergency response times as well. Bridges like this, with a clear economic impact on communities, should be the focus of the government's new structures fund, which I welcome. So can I ask the Prime Minister to encourage his ministers to meet with me so that we can find a solution to this issue for my rural constituents in town?
Yes.
Well, can I thank her for raising this issue, and just hearing her makes it absolutely clear that we need to find a solution to this. So I'll make sure that she gets the meeting that she is requesting with the relevant minister, so we can move as quickly as possible.
Ayab Khan, final question.
Wow,
Mr. Speaker, rubbish is building up right beneath my very nose. It's becoming...
Farage is just there! Farage is just there!
Easy, Tiger.
Well done, mate. Well done. Well done. Well done.
It's
good on you, lad.
A serious problem in Birmingham. In Birmingham, bin strikes are now running over close to 2 years. So can I
Kudos
ask
to the camera
gently
op there
the
as
Prime
well.
Minister to intervene and perhaps speak to the leader of Birmingham City Council to see if he can re-enter negotiations with Unite the Union?
Yeah, he's right to raise this, and we're doing everything we can to resolve the situation, which absolutely needs resolving.
That completes Prime Minister's questions.
Oh, that ended with that woke us all up at the end there, didn't it? Okay, as they all file out, I'll head over to the normal screen. So that was another Prime Minister's questions, another one where I feel like Keir Starmer came out of the whole guns bloody blazing, didn't he? He was taking no shit off Kemi Badenoch, off Davey, not even off Stephen Flynn. He was just obviously had his lines written out, like, but kudos though to the camera op who had to show us what the joke was there, because they've just kept it on the mid shot. We would never have found out. So that was a particularly punchy Prime Minister's questions. So first of all, we had a question from one of the Labour lot, just asking about construction industry careers. The second question, obviously the first of 6 from Kemi Badenoch, was about the fact that Starmer had said that he would carry the can, for any fuck ups, and he hasn't. To which he said, I've said sorry, and I've got rid of people, and I've taken responsibility, done what needed to be done, etc. And then he also had a go at her saying, Morgan McSweeney helped me win the election, which led to you to having the smallest Conservative Party in terms of MPs for 100 years. And all you've done since you got in is make it even smaller. I know it's really Punch and Judy. I know it's really frustrating, and we've got better things to be getting on with, but he's got a point. And this is what he can do to her, you see. This is the problem with the Conservatives at the moment. They don't have a leg to stand on. And why, under normal circumstances, if refuck weren't a thing, the Labour Party would just be riding high at the moment, because they wouldn't care. They wouldn't care if Keir Starmer was the most unpopular Prime Minister in history, because they'll still win the next election, because the Tories are even worse. But unfortunately for us, people have now decided that refuck are the untested quantity. We don't know what refuck are going to be like. Yes, we do. There's going to be more of the same. The Tory extreme. He also said in the next question, after something that I picked up on last week, as soon as he said it, he said, I've got full confidence in Morgan McSweeney. And those of you who were there with us last week will know that all of us, even the people in the chat and myself, just went, whoa, he's out. He's out. He's done for. That's it. He won't be there this time next week. And he certainly fucking wasn't. To which Starmer just replied, well, you said you had full confidence in Suella Braverman. You can't say the name Suella Braverman. He has to say the Right Honourable Representative or whatever the fuck. Or what their old cabinet position was. The former Home Secretary, I think that's what he used. And Robert Jenrick. Full confidence. And then they left to join the Reform Party. Again, this is the problem. Like, she just... Anything, any criticism, any valid criticism she makes of the Prime Minister, which is, fair enough, he can just bat it away. He just bat it away. Then she asked about, talking about, throwing people under a bus. And then she talked about this peerage that's been given to Matthew Doyle, who campaigned for someone who had been found to have indulged in horrific essay to children. And to which Starmer gave the same reply that he did over Mandelson. It's like, he didn't give me a full account. He didn't tell me all the ins and outs when we appointed him to being a Lord. But he didn't mention the fact that when little man, what's his name? The crazy Boris Johnson. When Boris Johnson was Prime Minister, he not only took put Ian Botham in that House of Lords to be a lawmaker for life. A guy who famously, and I'm always famous for Ian Botham. The only thing I know about him is he once accidentally tweeted a picture of his own cock. So that happened. But not only that, but then there was the 29-year-old random woman who worked for him for 6 months. They got put in there, which might be a love child or might be a lover, I don't know. So she got in, and also the Lord of Siberia, Lebedev. I mean, just excuse me, what are you putting him in there for? Oh, for services to the KGB, I think, which he didn't mention, but he could have done. Then she talked about, he responded about the fact that she sort of made the case that he didn't care about women, which is a bit rich coming from a woman who literally sat in a select committee not so long ago saying that going through menopause is a bit like being ginger, really, if you think about it. Yeah, women's rights. But also, Starmer came back with that and said, we got rid of the two-child cap, which also got rid of the rape clause. So I don't know if you know this, but there was the two-child cap, right? If you had a child as a result of rape, you were exempted from that cap, right? And the process that you had to go to prove that was the case was horrific, on top of already having gone through that horrific experience. So that's gone now. And then her fourth question, she's talking about, everybody knew about this law. It was on the front page of the Times. To which he just says, I'm not taking any lectures from XYZ. So he brought out Pontigate. He brought out Priti Patel and her bullying. He brought out the fact that Robert Jenrick said he didn't like seeing the lack of white faces in a part of Birmingham. And then she fired back saying that Downing Street had become a boys' club, which is a bit weird because there are a lot of women in Starmer's cabinet and Starmer's party. The legacy is going to be one of shame and all this. And then he just stood up and he just unleashed the emergency Liz Truss. He just said, but Liz Truss is still a member of your party, even though she's on the internet spouting conspiracy theories. So whatever. And for her sixth and last question, she talked about all the different scandals, and she asked him if he ever looks in the mirror and thinks, "Do you know what? I'm not going to be a cunt today." Oh no, that's what. Sorry. So that's just what I say to myself. And no. You ever look in the mirror and think that you're the real problem? To which he said, he's one of the 4 people to ever lead Labour to power. And he lists all of the Tory misdeeds and accused them of being a dying party, which they kind of are. Botham was a cricket star. A cricket? Did he play cricket? Oh, I thought it was like a Paris Hilton thing. I thought he was just famous for that thing he did. Okay. Anyway, so the next question came from a guy called Peter Swallow, asking about a new hospital in his constituency. And then Ed Davey stood up and accused outright Starmer of being appointing to the Lords 2 friends of pedos. So that's Matthew Doyle and also this Mandelson creep, showing a catastrophic misjudgment, he said. To which Starmer stood up and said, austerity! And then sat down again. That's all he did. That was okay. And then to which, because he seemed really angry. He seemed really pissed off. Angry at himself, probably, for fucking up so badly. But Ed Davey stood up for his second question and said, oh, wait, I hit a nerve, didn't I? And everyone laughed. And then he mentioned the duty of candour, the Hillsborough Law, which Starmer said he was going to do on day 1. Here we are, day 597, and it's still not been fucking done. So yeah, more delays. And saying, you know, can you do it now? To which Starmer stands up and says, you were in charge in 2012 and you could have done it then. Based on my recommendation as the Director of Public Prosecution in 2012, you could have done it then, but you didn't, because you're a bunch of twats. And I sat down again. And again, this is his ammunition, isn't it? This is his ammunition and his armour. Because no matter how bad Labour are, and let me not beat around the bush, in some respects, they've been fucking awful. But when he's given shit from the Tories, he just goes, hey, you were worse. And when he gets shit off the Lib Dems, he goes, well, you could have done something when you were in power. Anyway, so then we went over to the Isle of Wight for a Labour question about affordability of ferries. And then for the 12th question, we had Stephen Flynn from the SNP. Nice to see Flynn in standing up in the House. And he talked about he wanted the guidance for Matthew Doyle's appointment to the House of Lords to be published. To which Starmer just went off on one about the chief exec of the SNP going on trial, about a hospital in Glasgow that's falling apart. Basically, yeah, but you smell. Which isn't particularly great. And also, when it comes to when Davy's second question about Hillsborough, yeah, I want Hillsborough looked at. I want the Hillsborough Law to be a priority for this Labour government, and it does seem like they are slowing down somewhat, which is very, very problematic for a lot of people who are really waiting for this. Because if this law of candour in public office had been in place back in when Labour were first started, I mean, that would be first started. If Labour got this through right in the first 6 months or first 4 months, 5 months of their parliament, there's a good chance that there'll be another charge to lay at the feet of Peter Mandelson because he defied the duty of candour, which will be a legally responsible, a legal position. Like if your company or yourself, you put up in front of a panel and you lie, you can go to jail for it. In the past, you could just lie. There was nothing illegal about lying. You just make shit up if you wanted to in front of a panel, and no one could stop you. Anyway, so so it's a good point, and I think what Stephen Flynn said, yeah, fair enough. Let's see the advice, let's see the guidance for getting him into the House of Lords, and it gives more ammunition for us to get rid of the fucking House of Lords, to be honest with you. So that's all good. And I think that Starmer's responses and all that was quite churlish. Now we got churlish even. Churlish isn't a word unless you've got no chairs. I suppose that's chairless, isn't it? I'm chairless and bereft. Then we had, who do we have? Anna Dixon stood up. She talked about RAC in schools in Bradford. Then we had Rebecca Smith, who's a Tory. She talked about SMEs and the fact that the rules, lots of red tape makes procurement rules make things difficult. But then she's part of a party, the Tory party, that put through one of the hardest Brexits they could possibly fucking imagine, which is why there's so many more rules now and so much more red tape and papers to fill out. The 15th question came from Labour, Steve Race. He was talking about speeding up a deportation for someone. And then we had Ollie Glover, who's Conservative, moaning about potholes. We had Douglas McAllister, who talked about Labour Party member. He stood up and said, Labour politician, he said two-child benefit cap lifted, and that's the true Labour values in Scotland. That's the word he used. And that's very interesting. So Douglas McAllister, you'll never guess this from his name, but he's actually Scottish. Now, who knew? But obviously, because Anna Sawar went up against Starmer at the weekend, they've obviously got him to put that question in to go, hey, haven't we done really good things in Scotland? We've done good things. And then we had Marina Wilson from the Lib Dems. She's talking about mandatory CCTVs in nurseries, which is, bang on. I'm up for that. Not up for the very, very disturbing developments with those doorbells, the Ring doorbells. They're going to make them so they can hunt for people's pets, so they can all take part in like a community watch, look out for a pet that's gone missing. Yeah, if you can look out for a pet, you can look out for a person. You know that bit in Batman where he surveils everyone's private cameras? Yeah. Bit problematic. Anyway, then we had Catherine West from Labour. She was talking about Ali Pally and £500 million private public investment in it. No good for me. I live in Liverpool. I live in Durham, actually, these days. Caroline Voden, who's a Lib Dem, talked about storm damage to Devon and coastal erosion. And again, when a woman stands up and starts talking, a lot of men talk over her. And she didn't get to finish her fucking question, which I thought was really fucking rude. Then we had a Labour question. Then we had a Conservative. We had James Wild talking about someone who'd been done for dangerous driving, the deaths of 3 people from the same family, and he's getting deported after 3 years in jail, and saying, well, maybe you should just keep him in jail for a bit longer because he took 3 lives, which is, I think I agree. But then we what do you want? Like the Tories like mad about deportations of foreign criminals. Well, he's a foreign criminal. Can we deport him now? He's got to stay here and do his penance. So I don't know. But yeah, Starmer said he'd have a look at that. Then we had a Labour question about helping every child. Then we had a Lib Dem question from Dr. Al Pinkerton, who talked about restoring medals to members of the armed services who had been stripped of them for being found out to be gay back in the day, where you weren't allowed to be gay in the military. So talking about restoring people's medals that they had, that they should still have, because they did actually take part in those tours of duty. They did take part in those campaigns. They did take part in those battles for which they have medals. It's quite difficult to get medals for people in Britain, for soldiers in Britain. You're most likely to get a medal if you turn up for the Queen's Jubilee. Because she used to have one every 10 years. It was great. You used to get a big fuck-off medal every time. If you actually go to Iraq and spend 2 years getting shot at, you get a little tiny little ribbon. You get like a little tiny little... It's not even an inch across. Say, oh, I did that. But if you turn up to a birthday party, it's like, yay. Here, have a big fuck off medal. The 25th question came from Labour's Daniel Zeichner, who just asked about helping young people in Cambridgeshire. Then we had Tom Tugginhat, who talked about civil servants not getting their payouts when they deserve them. Possibly a bit of a sly dig to the civil servants who seem to be getting payouts, like Peter Mandelson, when they didn't deserve them. Then we had Kat Eccles from Labour, who stood up and said, what are we going to do about business rates? They're too high. To which Starmer gave a remarkable non-answer of, we did all these things. She's like, yeah, I mentioned them. This is someone in their own party going, I know we've done those things to help businesses and stuff, but the reality is they're going to be paying 20 grand a year more in business rates. And people aren't going to like that. Businesses are going to become unaffordable. Then we have Bob Blackman talking about what Labour are going to do to tackle knife crime. I mean, we might have to get to a situation where schools have metal detectors put in them, or at least a scheme where if a school feels like it needs to have metal detectors put in, the government pays for it. Then we've got the 29th question was from Sarah Edwards from Labour. She's a Tamworth MP, and she says that there's a bridge that's down in her constituency, and as a result, farmers for the last couple of years have had to take a 23-mile fucking detour, and because of the recent floods, now everyone's fucked. And basically, asking about the new structures fund, Labour's new structures fund, to replace or rebuild or refresh or rejuvenate and restore infrastructure across the country. And Starmer just went, yeah, okay. And then finally, the last question was from Ayub Khan, and who said this great line about the rubbish building up under his nose. Cut to a mid shot with the people in front of him, and who is directly sitting below him? Richard Tice and Nigel Farage. Well done, sir. No notes. But he was really talking about rubbish building up in Birmingham. So there you go. There's your little review there of what was asked. And meanwhile, in the chat, people are talking about mixed pairs at Bradford schools and who cleans the hat. Trouble is you have to switch every few years to avoid getting ripped off. That's very true. Birmingham Independent MP Ayub Khan wins the Spotlight and Reform Limited. I think he won Prime Minister's questions, I've got to say. My mad goes mad about metal detectors in school. Her drivers had those kids on the buses for up to half an hour. What? My mate goes mad about metal detectors in school. Her drivers have had those kids on the buses for up to half an hour. Oh, you mean they've got a knife, then they've got it on the bus? Yeah, but think about it. Like, if they know they're going to have to go through a metal detector in the way into school, they're not going to bring the knife on the bus, are they? So actually, hopefully, it helps out the bus drivers as well. Unless they decide to leave the knife on the bus, it stabbed into the bus driver, and that would not be optimal. So yeah, you should have metal detectors on the bus as well. I wish they could have cunt detectors. So like, you go into a building and it's like the siren goes off and it's like, I'm sorry, sir, you can't come in. Why not? Because you're a cunt. It's out the control. Was it my red trousers? Yeah, it's probably your red trousers. Set it off. AI. I snowboard also refers to BMX and skateboards. Oh, I see. You're taking a snowboard to school. I'm sorry, I'm missing the thrust of the conversation here. Saz has just done it. Thank you, Saz. £2 super chat. You know what that means? It means that we are free to release. Oh, hang on. Did it not happen? Did it not happen? I did set it up for the confetti to go off, and the confetti hasn't gone off. What is even happening right now? Oh, do you know why? Oh, it's because it's supposed to be £5. Damn it! Why did that? It's because I was trying to pay attention to that. I was trying to respond to Patsy, who's on the radio in half an hour on Times Radio. Okay, Patty Stevenson, feminist campaigner. She's going to be on Times Radio in half an hour. So please listen to that. There's going to be someone at the door at the moment. I hope they can just put it through the door slot. What's it called? Letterbox. I'm going to remove the goal. And then I'm going to start a new goal. Oh my God. There you go. Right. So we only need one super chat of any flavour and we should get it. But Saz, thank you very much for that £2 super chat. We should have set off the confetti, but didn't. Sorry, that was my fault. I owe you £2. I tell you what, if I give you the £2 back and then you can give it to me again, and then, Google get a big cut of it for some reason. Won't they just switch to non-metallic knives? Well, I guess so, but they're a little bit harder to get hold of. I don't know. I mean, there's always going to be ways around it. Maybe they can climb in through a window. But, generally speaking, having the threat of being caught is always there. Manual loaded for Diz with the confetti there. But overall, that Prime Minister's questions seem to revert to the norm, because last week, Kemi Badenoch did manage to land a few blows on Keir Starmer. This week, I don't think she did. I really don't think she did. I think he ran rings around her and presented a united front, and the Labour lot, some of them seem to be having a good time. Not all of them. Like, some of them had a face like smacked arse, but some of them were like, yeah. And like I say, it is difficult when you have these Punch and Judy bits. So think about it this way, right? So many of the questions that came from the backbench MPs from all the different parties were really good questions. There's a lot of good stuff in there. And the Prime Minister asked the question that they had, or said, I'll come meet you later, or we'll look into that. And thank you for bringing this to my attention. Thank you for your question, which is great. And do you know what? I think Ed was having a go this time because he felt like he should, because he's far too reasonable most of the time. But Kemi Badenoch, all of her questions are just like, you're a twat. Why don't you just fuck off? Every single one of her questions that she's ever asked over the last year and a half, she's just gone, why are you a gobshite? And it's just like, oh, for God's sake. And Martin Harrow, can we have a host who can work this stuff? I'm doing three things. I'm trying to drink coffee. I'm trying to make notes. I mean, God's sake. There's multitasking and then there's multitasking. I did put it up though. I just pressed the wrong button. But I pressed the right button now, and so have you, Martin, by giving me 2 quid, because it means that I can now actually fire the confetti cannon. 3, 2, 1, boom! Cool and normal. Okay, so it's time to go now. It is 1 o'clock on the knocker. We've been going for an hour now. So thanks very much for joining us to go through Prime Minister's questions together. Sorry if you got a bit boring in the middle there. That wasn't my fault. But I think it was worth it for that question at the end. So, well done. Well done to Ayub Khan, who, totally made us all laugh at Nigel Farage, which is what we've got to do because he fucking hates that. Okay, until I see you again, which hopefully will be 6 o'clock tonight, because I'm doing the rabbit hole and with Rachel, and we've also got special guest Ollie Bowler Hatman, who's going to be throwing a bunch of stuff in room 101. And you, my lovely audience, will get to vote on whether the stuff goes in or not. So please join us for that at 6 o'clock tonight. If not, I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock for another morning brew. And until then, I'll say hello, good evening, give us a like on the way out, and goodbye.